It is coming up on the 4th of July holiday, so Daily Racing Form has a 4th of July sale starting on Thursday. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, it is going now all the way through Tuesday, the 4th of July. You can get up to 50% off on past performances, selections, clocker reports, digital paper, whatever you use as a tool. You can take advantage of the sale right now, and you can use these credits for some of the meets coming up. So think about the timing right now with Del Mar and Saratoga coming up. You're going to be playing the races from those summer meets all the time. Save right now on the classic past performances on the formulator. You're going to need the clocker reports for the 2-year-olds and the baby races coming up in the summer. Take advantage now of the savings, and we are going to get ready to dive on into the Belmont Park Pick 5 for Saturday. Don't forget about this sale all throughout the week, all the way up to Tuesday on the 4th of July. So let's get into Belmont Park for Friday. I'm going to pull up the Daily Racing Form past performances. I'm always using the formulator PPs because I think they make it really easy for us to dive around from charts to race replays to find anything we really want, and how we can get through each of these different forms of handicapping with ease. You don't have to have a bunch of different tabs all up as you go through the past performances. We'll start with the Dwyer. And you have Saudi Crown, who's 2 for 2, very impressive in both races so far for Brad Cox. Right next door, Harrodsburg showed really good speed in both starts, and you'd expect this guy to be very quick. The horse to beat is Fort Bragg. He ran a bang-up race in that Pat Day mile, just a too good to lose type race after a slow start. He's drawn well towards the outside of the speeds, so you feel like he should be able to sit a nice trip. Joey Freshwater is actually a graded stakes winner, but he's going to need to improve against this group. That just seems like a little tougher group than some of the competition that he's faced. So I'm the way I'm seeing this race play up, what's kind of interesting, the horse who's a true closer is the 4. Now, alternate reality is a cut below some of the others in here, but I'm going to use him if I'm playing a pick 5 or any type of exotics, because there are versions of this race where he's one of the only horses closing late at a mile. Now, he will need to improve because Fort Bragg's the horse to beat. And I think with the way Fort Bragg is drawn in here, he'll be able to sit off. So I feel like he's going to be tough. Saudi Crown and Harrodsburg, I really want to make them prove it a little bit more because it feels like they'll have some speed to the inside from Prove Right. Saudi Crown and Harrodsburg will both be stretching out to a mile for the first time, so they'll be going farther, and they've already shown speed in those sprint races. I think they're going to want to be right on the lead. Fort Bragg will be able to sit off a little bit, but it could set up nicely if a horse like Alternate Reality can at least be passing some horses late. So maybe a little bit of a wild card here with Fort Bragg as the horse to beat. And then I would use Saudi Crown maybe underneath if you were thinking about going deeper like that. But 4-5 for me in this 6th race in the Dwyer. Let's move to the 7th race. I thought the 2 Verratti was a little intriguing in here, just from a wild card. Going to try to get the lead. This horse showed some really good ability in his first 2 starts, but he's a 4-year-old who's only raced 4 times. So he's been his own worst enemy. He's had a tough time staying on the track. Debuted in September of 2021. Then he was off to April of 2022. He raced twice, and then he's off for almost a year. Comes back to the races. I think you can just put a line right through that May 19th race. Following that, he's come back. He's worked 4 times. You don't have any sort of a drop, and then they stretch him out. The plan should be to get aggressive. There's really not that much other speed in here. Kind of looking through the rest of the field. I think if he wants the lead, he can take it. Daddy Knows has shown a little bit of speed recently, but if the 2 stretching out from these sprint races wants it, I think it's his for the taking. 12th man, South Street sits off a little bit. Winter's Lion can be close up. He's a horse who I might use underneath. But getting back to the 2, I think he can try to take this field gate to wire. The one Bad to the Bones, he's probably like the measuring stick for this race. That was a pretty good effort last time out. His 2 races for Mott have been good. So I'd use the 2 and the 1 in the bulk of the exotics if you're looking for a price, possibly the 8. No real knocks on horses like so Winter's Lions would be in the mix for me. No real knocks on like the 3 and the 4. I just because these horses have earned good speed figures against New York bred company recently. Just sort of want to make them prove it. Brew Pub is a horse who's done a lot of finishing second and third throughout his career. Daddy Knows has been in good form right now. Those last 2 races, really no knocks. Both of them against New York breds. Now will step back up into open company. But we'll put the inside horses on top, 2 and the 1 for me. 8 as the price horse in here. In the 8th race, looking a little bit at the 11 More Than Work. You know, I thought his last race wasn't bad. And I think, it's a live race so far, the June 4th race, Pioneering Spirit. We've seen win 3 races in a row, just came back and win the other day. 3rd place finisher, Born Gambler, came back to win. More Than Work was 3rd, then moved up to 2nd, was pressing, moved to the lead, opened up 2, and just got run down by a sharp horse. And he was a clear 2nd that day. Pioneering Spirit came back to win a first level allowance race following that, so that form got even better. He can sit pretty close, and you sort of look overall at his turf form, it's really not bad. He doesn't have a bad turf race. The post isn't ideal, but the price is. Following the 11, the 2 is probably the horse to beat. Timbuktu just missed last time out at the level. Behind Royal Spirit, you have the 6, Shinshun. I think can improve, 2nd start off the bench in the mix for me. And the 12 also, Kingfish Stevens coming out of the Murphy. Didn't think it was that poor of an effort last time out. Sort of overall pretty good body of work on the turf. So we'll use some combos of 11, 2, 6, 12 in some of the multi-exotics here in this 8th race. Moving to race number 9. This one is the Nerude. I don't really like Candyman Rocket in here from the rail. His best races are when he's able to sit just off, and I think he's going to be forced in here. 7 is a little farther, I think, than where he's best. It just feels like 6 is like a perfect trip for him, and I think he's going to be forced. The real key to the race is what kind of pace shape is it, because if Candyman Rocket doesn't send hard from the inside, there's not that much early speed in here for a legitimate sprint race like this. You could see the 4, we could see the 5, even the 6 possibly showing speed, but none of these horses are for sure need to go to the lead every time type of horse. I think I'm the most confident in Little Vic in here just because of the trip I think he'll get. He's always puts himself in that nice stalking range just off. He had a really big effort in the Tom Fool. And he had, 3 or 4 really nice races prior to that. I think he was a little over the top in the Carter. And if you eliminate that Carter race, a race that's already come back live, because we've seen the 2nd place finisher, Repo Rocks, come back and win graded stakes race following that one. We also saw the 4th place finisher, Today's Flavor, come back and win the New York bred stakes race out of that one. So that race came back strong. And Little Vic feels like, consistently he's going to be pretty close to this pace. So give me the 5 on top. The 3 Weyburn, if there's any sort of pace battle, I think he's the winner. I like him at this 7 furlongs to a mile trip. Just not sure if they're going to be battling up front. We could have 3 horses that all show a little bit of speed, and they could all be very content with sitting 1, 2, 3. wherever they were to stack up in that order. But if Candyman Rocket and Twisted Ride and Little Vic and Sheriff Bianco all want to go and they all end up kind of putting a little pressure on each other, then I think it's Weyburn's race. So 3 and 5 for me is the top 2 in here. I'd also use the 4 Twisted Ride, who I feel like can sit a pretty nice trip, and we'll try to beat the 1 Candyman Rocket in this spot, who's very good when he's able to get the kind of trip he wants. He got that trip on May the 13th. I'm not sure if he'll get it here. Let's move to the 10th and final Saturday at Belmont. In race number 10, I thought the 1 kind of had a sneaky trip. Comes out of the race on May the 19th with some of the other rivals in here. She had a fine start. And he had a fine start. He was in between horses. He took back. He ended up moving to 5th. And then he ended up losing like 4 or 5 lengths of positioning. Comes on again nicely. Really showed some nice late energy. It was like a weird trip. You can even see it in the running lines where he drops back and then has to come on again. Now he'll make the 3rd start off the long layoff. 3rd start of the form cycle for the very good turf barn. Just sort of knows where they fit. The 2 horse had a brutal trip. He's the one to beat, no doubt. He was down inside in that May 13th race. He was like 11th of 12. It was about 15 lengths off. And he moved from the rail. He got stopped. He got backed up to last. He had nowhere to go. He moved in between horses again. And then he started to roll with a bunch of momentum. He ended up, things got really tight late and he had to stop badly again. It was just brutal type trip. You can pull up the replay here and watch it if you're looking at the formulator past performances like I am. So he's a 3, Miracle Mike. And we're watching the race that he's the 3 in on Saturday at Belmont. He's the 2. So not the best of beginnings. He's pushed all the way to the back, slow, getting into stride. And as the field like strings out, he's way out of it. And he gets stopped a couple different times. We can kind of go a little far forward more. You can see right here, the 3 is kind of moving and trying to move, and then he gets sort of stopped, and he has to back up right here and lose his momentum and shuffle back, and he wanted to go right then. So that's not easy. And we watch him again, the 3 with the green cap. Watch him looking for some room as he moves down to the inside here. And he's trying to find a way through. He's traveling really well, but he doesn't really have a seam. He can't go around the 4. He kind of tries to hit that spot. Then he tries to go back inside and he sort of shifts back around. I don't know if he would have won the race, but he might have finished second there, even just without that trouble. That doesn't count the 2 other times earlier in the race when he had legitimate trouble. So he's the horse to beat. He is 3-1. I'll use a lot of 1-2. Others to include in here on the deeper tickets. The 5's kind of interesting as a horse who could just be more forwardly placed. Just had a really bad start last time out. Eliminate that one. Give him another start to show more speed in here. The 6 really fits at the level too. He showed that last time. And the 8 would be the other one for me. Awesome Force, just a pace player to include in some late pick 4s and some late pick 5s. But the 1 and the 2 will be the ones that I use in all tickets to try to close things out. A couple others maybe in the mix underneath and in 1 or 2 spots. Don't forget about that big DRF sale all the way through Tuesday on the 4th of July. Best of luck in all your plays this weekend. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. That's what G said. We have a bunch of different segments like this on upon the podcast all together, so you can hear the audio all from there, as well as covering a whole bunch of different sports, pop culture, all the big races going on. Good luck this weekend.